in the first 2 years that I was married to my first husband, there were a couple things that happened. Number one, we were just going along our merry way, being fine, dealing with what normal 21-year-old married people deal with. And I got a phone call from my little brother, and he was in a panic, very, very upset. He was 14 at the time. And he said, I just found a note from my mom. I found a note from mom, and I think she's going to kill herself. And that shook me, because we had the perfect family. My, married in the temple, 4 kids, well-to-do, living in Alpine. My mom was beautiful, popular, well-liked. My dad was successful. And that was news to me of why my mom would even possibly be so unhappy that she would want to end her life. And so we luckily, thank heavens, were able to find her. Well, actually some friends and neighbors found her. And when she talked to us about it after kind of things had settled down, she told us, I just can't be a good Mormon. I'm never going to get to the celestial kingdom. It's never going to happen for me. I keep messing up. All of the things that I am are not good enough. And so it's better for me to just go telestial, because if I end it now, at least I'll go to telestial. And that's probably where I belong.
Tell listeners what telestial means.
So it's the third and lowest kingdom.
So describe heaven.
Of the kingdom. Okay, so the heaven is the 3 kingdoms of glory.
In Mormonism.
Yeah. Top kingdom is celestial.
That's
Middle.
That's what Heather was talking about.
That's the goal. That's the place where God
resides.
resides. It's a revolving globe of glass and fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's the best place. It's where we want to be. Terrestrial is the middle kingdom. It's like for the so-and-so goods, I guess.
The meh.
Yeah, the middle ground. The good Christian people.
That didn't join the Mormon church.
That didn't join the...
That failed to accept the gospel here on earth, and then also refused it when they were in spirit prison.
Yeah. And then the telestial kingdom is the lowest kingdom, which is still so good that you'd want to kill yourself to go there.
Yeah.
So it's still awesome.
It's still awesome. It's still immensely better than this world, but it is the lowest.
You're not with
God, and you're not with your family. So my mom had really just come to the fact that it was better for her to just end it, leave her 4 children and husband with a death by suicide mom, and go to the telestial kingdom, because there was nothing she could do to get to the celestial kingdom, as hard as she tried.
What was making her feel so inadequate?
It's funny, because I actually talked to her this morning.
Oh.
And I was asking her, because, it's been 17 years since that happened. And I said, Mom, I want you to go back to when you were standing on that mountain about to jump. What were you thinking? And she said, I was thinking, I have no value. Everything I've been taught to do and everything I've been taught to be, I just can't be it. I can't do it. And she said it was actually a Relief Society lesson that the sister in our ward who was teaching it they were talking about eternal marriage. And she said, if you're unhappy in your marriage now, you just got to stick it out, because you'll be happy on the other side. And quoted Brigham Young in talking about, how basically it'll all work out when you get to the other side. Just stick through it, because eternal marriage can be happy as long as you are following the principles of the gospel. And my mom was in a deeply unhappy marriage. And for her, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. That was the last thing on the shelf was, okay, I have to face eternity with a person that I don't want to be with. And divorce was not an option. And so it would rather be death than to shake the boat. That was the better option for her.
So these were the types of things bearing down on your mom.
But then on top of that, she was a sinner. Even the things that she was telling me on the phone today, I was like, these are ridiculous, that she would go to Coffee and Cocoa in Provo and order a cappuccino mixed with hot chocolate and just tell us it was hot chocolate, but then suffer huge, horrible guilt and then beat herself up about it and have to repent and have to, I've broken the word of wisdom. It's such a silly thing, you guys. It's a drink. that makes you a little buzzed for 20 minutes.
What people don't understand is it can keep you from getting married in the temple, which can keep you out of the celestial kingdom.
Yes.
It can.
There are no small sins.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of a lot of people since I started doing the show being like, oh, we weren't like that. We drink, my dad drinks coffee all the time. And he still goes to the temple? Yeah. And I'm like, well,
then you're not following the doctrine.
Then guess what?
That wasn't how we were raised.
That's not, and she's
way,
like, it depends on your bishop. Well, I want to move where you live.
But it's that serious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your mom was drinking coffee.
So my mom was like every once in a while going to Coffee and Cocoa in Provo. And, but then more than that, it really was the Relief Society lesson of facing eternity. And that was too much for her. And I think when that happened, obviously there were a lot of other things that were part of that are private that I can't share, but but I had kind of that come to Jesus moment where I thought, okay, do I really want to be a part of something that would cause the person that I love and respect the most in my life, who I think is the very best human on this earth? She was a wonderful mom and righteous, really righteous.
And feeling like dirt.
Yeah. Is this okay for me to be a part of this? And part of my mom's therapy after the suicide attempt, she was exploring outside of the church. Her therapist just said, gosh, well, maybe the answer is to not worry so much about being a good Mormon. Maybe you can just be a good person, and let's start there.
But the best people are Mormon. That's what would always get me back.
I know.
What do you mean, Heather?
Just like, but how can I be a good person if I'm betraying my faith?
It's still a lower level.
Yeah.
It's still, but like,
wouldn't the best person just live, and succeed under these principles?
But that's the thing, is that my mom was the best person. And that's what shook me, is I was like, whoa, if this person isn't good enough, I'm screwed, because she's amazing and she's tries. And isn't that what it's about, is trying, and it still wasn't good enough? This is a person who has so much value that feels that she has no value. How can this be good? And I think in her therapy, it was, okay, let's take Mormon off the list. We're not even going to deal with that right now.
She got a rare therapist in Utah.
Yeah, it was a blessing for sure, and saved her life, truly. And so let's not worry about being a Mormon. Let's worry about being a good person, and let's start there. And I remember she came out to Virginia to visit my husband and I. We were living out there, and she wasn't wearing her garments.
Tell people what garments are.
So garments are the sacred underwear that Mormons wear when they receive their endowment, and it's protects you, and it's a reminder, an outward reminder of our inward feelings.
Are they sexy?
Oh no, no.
Burdensome.
But yeah, the garments thing was weird, and it was very triggering for me to see my mom. I noticed she raised her arms to do something, and I could see that she wasn't wearing garments.
What did that mean to you when a devout Mormon mom is not wearing her garments? What does that mean to you?
Oh, I was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's going on with mom. And I knew she had already tried to kill herself. And I was like, what is happening? My world, I threw up. I ran to the bed. I was so upset. I got myself so worked up that I threw up.
Because of her underwear.
Because of my mom's underwear. That is crazy, first of all. But that's how deep I was in it. And I got really upset with her and actually yelled at her. I remember sitting in my kitchen in my apartment and saying, Mom, what makes you so special that you don't have to wear your garments? And she said, Dre, what makes you so special that you get to wear your garments and be so much better than me? Are you better than me?
Oh.
And I was
this is after she had attempted.
Yeah. And again, I had to check myself, say, gosh, do I really want to be a part of something that is telling me that my very favorite person in the world who I'm obsessed with and want to be like, now she not only wanted to kill herself, but now I think I'm better than her. Do I really want to be a part of that?
What are all the ways that a woman can feel inadequate in Mormonism?
How can we not?
No, really, rifle them off.
Okay.
Body.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Not having a great body.
Mm-hmm.
small
your
to
outward
mini-
your outward appearance.
Yeah, your physical appearance, your inability to get pregnant, your fertility or lack of fertility,
Okay.
your inability to bounce back after baby,
You guys go back and forth.
breastfeed. Yeah, hit a couple.
Yeah, I think to support your husband to be successful.
Okay.
To be a nurturing, diligent mother with successful, well-balanced, righteous children.
Stay close to your parents at the same time as raising your own children.
Your home is a temple on earth. You know, the holidays are a time of great rejoicing and joy, and you're a good cook. You're good at, you keep your home, it's a house of order,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah. But then also maintaining like a great social standing, nurturing your friendships and being active in your ward calling, being known as the person in your ward that is the go-to for, fun parties and for
You're always in an
great
executive
crafts for
role,
your kids.
you know?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You're never a nursery worker. You're either Young Women's President or Young Women's Presidency. You're Relief Society President, Relief Society Presidency. You're Gospel Doctrine Teacher, which is very rare to be a woman and a Gospel Doctrine Teacher.
But you were?
Which I was.
Wow.
And, I was just all of those things. Your ability to craft, your ability to sew, your ability to cook, your ability to clean, your ability to not only do all these things, but to love doing them. And to feel fulfilled doing them.
You have to love it.
And to feel satisfied doing them. And to do them with a song in your heart and a smile on your face. And to feel it. To not fake it. Nobody, to feel it and to embrace it. To be a domestic goddess.
And certainly we're not speaking for all women of the church. This is just Heather's and my experience, which was very, very
I think
similar.
you are speaking for a lot of women.
Well, I think
what
lot.
What about
but-
your husband? What about pleasing your husband?
Oh, well, you have to want to have sex all the time and be like a total.
What do you mean by that?
Like just on the ready. And you have to, it's like lady in the streets, freak in the sheets.
I would never turn my husband down for sex. It wouldn't matter if he wanted it in a car, in a bar. He didn't. And maybe that's why I was the never say no girl. But like I was able to effectively have sex anytime, any place, any condition, even if I had had the flu. Because that was my divine role.
Yeah.
I would
was the
never
same
have
way,
said
Heather.
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
What was your version of that?
Same. Never say no. And if I did say no, there was huge shame. And so then I just didn't say no. Like that was just the expectation. If we waited all this time and we were virgins and we, didn't do anything bad. And so now let's open the floodgates. And now this is my reward for being so virtuous.
And isn't it so much better that we only know it with each other?
I hated it. It was the worst.
Okay, yeah. So like so I'm sure there's some Mormons who have great sex lives and some Mormons that don't have great
Absolutely.
sex
It
lives.
depends
but for
on
you
the
guys,
couple.
But for you guys.
Well, I thought I had
whatever
a
you wanna
great
say.
sex life because I had I had nothing to compare it to.
So you were happy. You were fulfilled.
For what I knew, in the context of what I knew. If you've never eaten outside of, a McDonald's, does it satisfy your hunger? Absolutely. Is it, and I wouldn't know.
Good analogy.
For you, Dre?
No, sex was a terrible experience for me.
Why?
I think I was, like I said, a very young, dumb, inexperienced child. And I had no business going from 0 to 60. I was someone that needed years of prep for this. It was too much and it was scary and it wasn't fun and it was shameful for me.
Why?
And because I felt like dumb and like I didn't know how to do it and it didn't feel good to me. And then my husband would say, well, you're such a Mormon. And then there was shame around that. Like, oh, I'm just being a Mormon. But, to his credit, we were virgins and I'm sure he was frustrated with me. Like, come on, we waited all this time and now you're going to, not want to just immediately have sex with me right this second all the time because he was a 22-year-old boy. Of course that's what he wanted. But for me, I needed some time. It was really tough for me. And I never got it while we were married. It was never easy for me. And there was a lot of shame around it. And also I think there was just shame for me around sex in general because I just thought it was bad.
Because you're taught growing up what?
That it's the worst sin, worse than murder.
Yeah. Yeah, it keeps
To
you
what?
out of
to have sex outside of wedlock. And even though we were having sex within the marital bounds, it was really tough for me to shift my thinking. It really was. So that was never
So once you're able to have sex, you still feel what?
shame.
About
And like
sex?
it was bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it was bad. And that it was not okay for me to express myself that way even. I was never taught how to
You're not a
express my
sexual
way.
being as a Mormon
No.
woman. What are you?
Just holy and perfect and virtuous and
Married.
and a
Yeah, and
creative
married, yeah.
being. You're like a life-bearing being, you know?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any other expectations of Mormon women? We could probably go on all day, but any other important ones?
I think the hardest thing is to love it. You know, because we can do it all. You know what I mean? Like we can do the dishes
We have
begrudgingly.
babies.
We can have babies. You know, we can dress them and make sure they're at school on time, but to love it, because that's where the shame comes in. Like, you know, I love my children. I do not like the menial work surrounding what it takes to keep them alive every day, you know, and that it is 100% solely my responsibility. And that it is also a reflection of my character and my worthiness, my ability to sing while I do the dishes, you know, when I really just want to be on my phone, on my bed, you know, and to not love it. And so I would try to find ways to love it. And that's like fitting a square peg in a round hole, you know, because that's where I think we really herald Mormon women. They do it, but they do it with a smile. They are genuine. We recognize like the doldrums of domesticity, right? But if you've got your priorities in the right place, you are devoted to your children and to everything surrounding them, and you're happy. You don't feel a gnawing like, oh, did you hear that band of lawyers running wild outside? You know what I mean? Or do you hear those business women clicking in their heels?
Yeah.
You know, you have date night and you
you live
your
for it.
life and you live for, and you know, with this joy of service, joy of your calling, joy of your husband. And like a lot of times you have to truly detach. Like when I just sat here saying, I never said no, how is that intimacy? I couldn't ever even tell my husband what I was thinking or feeling. The fact that he didn't care what I was feeling is lack of intimacy. And the whole reason you have sex is to be intimate. And I used to think that made me such a cool pioneer woman that I never said no. But you know why you never said no? Because nobody ever asked you either way. You know what I mean?
But also, you never say no because you don't want to piss off your husband.
And you don't want to
disappoint
have
him.
you don't want to have a peg for him to hang his cap on for why you know, are something to say, you know?
Totally. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure on women in the church to show up a certain way. And my mom's living proof of that. She literally was willing to end her life because she could not live up to the standards, whether self-imposed or not. You know, they were what she felt.